The information discussed on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money. More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Yeah, good morning. How you doing? See if I can hear myself here. Oh, alone in the chair, alone in the room by myself. Much like my honeymoon, just me and my thoughts. I don't know if you guys were listening to Vince's show there before, but Isaac, who was his guest, needs to give up golf. That dude should be a linebacker. That guy is huge. So he was apologized for taking his time. And I said, yeah, you take all the time you want. I'm going to let Isaac do whatever he wants to do. He can have the show if he wants. I'll sit here and eat my cookies. How are you doing? Got a lot of real estate stuff to cover this week. We had a lot of great calls last week, so I didn't cover much, and that's okay. I'd rather take the phone calls. It's easier. I don't have to work as much. I don't get dry mouth when I'm just responding to phone calls, as opposed to the nerves that flow through me having to come up with something creative to say. Okay, I'm done. We're good. We start every show the same way by giving out the phone numbers, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Now, whose jersey are you wearing there? What is number 10, and what is that? That looks college-ish.
It's Notre Dame. Used to be Brady Quinn's jersey.
All right, Notre Dame.
But since Notre Dame never retires a jersey, it's who's ever the quarterback next.
Whoever happens to have the number 10 on. Okay, so from the mind of Christopher Law, Chris, what's happening this week?
Well, we're in the political season, and everyone's gearing up for the election, and it just ticks me off just more and more. There used to be a time where you could disagree with someone, and that was perfectly okay. I memean, I'm guessing you and me are completely different spectrums of the political scene.
I don't think so, Mr. Bush.
Except it's like, if you're a conservative, you must follow this, 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 and this. And if you don't, then you're a liberal. If you're a liberal, you have to follow this, 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 and this. Or you're conservative. You're on completely different sides. It's like gangs now, where you have to be initiated in
You're wearing blue and I'm wearing red, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So you have to follow these guidelines. I mean, I think most of us can agree on almost everything. And these disagreements, there needs to be some sort of way where you could say, there needs to be a give and take sort of thing. We need to go back to that, and I don't see it happening anytime soon.
So I'll give you what I have heard from an individual friend of mine who was at one of the political campaign, not the campaigns, but the rallies, if you will, GOP and the Democratic convention. There you go, the word I'm looking for. And after coming back from one of these, his thought was, these sides really don't. It's a game to them as politicians. They really don't want to get along. You screw me for a little bit, I'll screw you for a little bit. We'll just keep going back and forth. We'll just keep changing positions within the role, but we'll just keep it as an entire group of people, red, blue, green, or white. We'll just keep screwing over the American public one at a time. We'll just keep our jobs here.
The more they fight, the longer they keep their job, the more money they raise. And
that's right.
Like, oh, what do you look at what they're doing? Look at this side. I need money to fight back, and they know nothing's going to change.
Yeah, and I think that they don't want anything to change, really. So maybe we have to throw them all out in general and just make a king.
We need to change them.
Yep, and I got my political I got my campaign slogan ready to go. Right, we got the. Now look at this. I found this in the studio. If I took this home, see what I'm holding up here? You can't see this. This is a 45 record. If I took this home, my 3 daughters would say, your cup holder has a hole in the center of it. This is a 45 record from Columbia. Men at Work, crazy. Does anybody remember I would stump my entire family if I took this home. They said, well, what happened to your beer holder there? It's got a hole in the center of it. There's some 45s in the studio. That's got to be Don Geronimo-ish stuff hanging around. Anyway, we got some full phone lines.
I don't know. Grant's a big Men at Work fan.
There's a bunch of them here. I'll have to go through these during the break and see what else is in there. I've got a lot of stuff to cover today, a lot of things to give away as well. My number here in the studio, 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140, or you can text me if you wish at 441140. Also got some interesting emails this week at the jeff@jefftarbell.com email. Number one, hey, did you crash your Harley? Because I don't ever hear you talk about it anymore. And no, I did not crash my Harley. Although I probably would today. I've got this. Anybody else get this? I don't know if it's a head cold or what it is, but it's almost like a ongoing vertigo. Anybody else had that? I don't. It's just like everything is just a little bit crazy. It's just me. Yeah, it could be tequila left over in the bloodstream from earlier in the year, but I can't get rid of it. And it's just you just kind of constantly feel like you're off balance a little bit, or you're a radio host and your brain just doesn't work. And my doctor said, yeah, you got probably some sort of a vertigo thing, and just don't ride your motorcycle. You'll be fine. That was the sum total of my Kaiser experience. Good advice here is stay off the ground.
I always love a doctor who says like, yeah, probably.
They give you, and then so what they do, they give you some pills to mask the vertigo, which is the same pill you would take if you're going on a cruise ship. Well, those just make me flat out dead tired. So now I'm asleep and I don't have the vertigo, so I'm going broke. I finally texted the doctor. I said, look, this is great, but I actually need to work. So the pills are worse than the problem. So I'm going to just walk around in circles. So if I say the same thing like 4 times in a row and it sounds kind of wavy, that's just me. The other one I got this week was, hey, are you back to bonbons and chicken fried steak, fat ass? I don't hear you talking about your diet anymore. I apologize. I don't bring up my my eating habits every minute. First off, I am not a chicken fried steak lover under any circumstance. The bonbons, maybe. But I did not give up my diet. I am not marking down the points on a day-by-day basis anymore. I did get down to about 215 from 230, and I seem to be hanging out there. And I like to get to 200, but then I'd like to be better looking and smart too. But these are things that are probably all not going to occur to me. Chris will never be a Republican, and I'll probably never be skinny again. So I got it. I can live with that. So those are the 2 answers to my emails this week. Thank you for monitoring my motorcycle and my chicken fried steak habits. And you're welcome to email me anytime, jeff@jefftarbell.com. And we'll try to get your answers on the air there. And I'll try to get to some of the text today, too, at 441140. Hey, a few things that came up this week that I wanted to bring up. And there's always seems to be a theme of the week for me in my office in the mortgage business. This week, it was I don't want to use the word single women because they're not single. It was unmarried. It was women who are married who in their mind think they're not married, who are separated but not divorced, who are irritated that I have to mention their ex-husband who's not their ex-husband because they're not divorced, they're separated. Am I making, you see, if you shake your head, this is how I shake my head too. Ladies, and this goes for you too, gentlemen, if you're not living with the person anymore, and it's been like 15 years, probably not going to work itself out, I would say go ahead and pull the trigger on the divorce proceeding.
I don't know. Some people might say if you're separated from your wife for 15 years, that's the best marriage.
It's a successful one. We get along fine. But here's the problem. Separated is not divorced. And I know, and I believe there are some reasons why this happens. And I believe that they're not always upfront with me with why it happens. And I think probably a lot of it has to do with either benefits, health care, retirement. I don't know, something's going on behind the scene. I don't know what it is. But if you are separated and you are not legally divorced, and when it comes to California, in California, if you're married, regardless of the fact you're speaking to one another or not, or you're sleeping with one another or not, or you're even talking to one another or not, if you're still married, there are certain rules and certain things that happen in a state like California. And one of the challenges you have is buying and selling and dealing with real estate. In California, if you're married, we consider your spouse to be part of the transaction. And this has come up more than once now, in fact, more than twice in the same week. And that is that we have to, if we're going to do a loan for you, whether it's you, Mrs. or you, Mr., and you're married, we have to, at a minimum, get a quitclaim deed or something from your spouse saying, I'm not part of this transaction. I don't have any claim to the transaction, and I'm basically giving away my rights to have anything to say about it. And that's very common, very common. In fact, you'll see a lot of times where a married couple who are married and who are living together, who are getting along well, one of the two may have some nasty credit, and one of the other borrowers may qualify to do something on his own. That's fine. You can do it. But don't get irritated at me when I tell you you're going to have to track down your ex-husband. Well, he's not your ex-husband, your husband, and have him sign this form, or we're going to have to get some cooperation from this other person, because the state of California says that other individual, by right of the marriage, has rights to your property. And the lender who's making you a loan doesn't want to deal with that person down the road. So I say to you, because it's happened many, many times, finish it. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I know a lot of cases there's some reason why they've separated, not divorced, and I think it probably comes down to benefits and health care. Yeah, so they're getting some sort of agreement. Hey, look, you can stay on my health care. That's fine. Do that kind of stuff too. But that's fine if that's what you want to do. But be aware that there are other rules that come along with it. Okay, so just and the frustration level is that hey, we've agreed to be separated, and that's fine. But the law says, in California at least, you're still married. So keep that in mind. The separated is not divorced. Number 2 came up a few times this week, and this is for a lot of you first-time buyers or people that are maybe looking to buy something else, another home, and keep your existing house, is we are coming back to a period in a position. Coming back, we've been back and gone way over the other direction. But anyway, we're coming back to real, true underwriting of a loan these days. And one of the things that has been overlooked for many, many years, which is why there's so many houses on the market, is payment shock. And payment shock, for example, would be for a young couple who comes in and they're renting something. Let's say they're paying $900 a month for an apartment or a house, whatever. And you come in to me or whoever, and your new proposed house payment is going to be $1,500 or $1,600. Well, for someone to go from $900 a month to $1,600 a month, that's a fairly good jump. That's $700 a month, right? And we look at you, the borrower, and you have no savings, none. And so the first question that comes up is, how on earth where are you going to come up with $700 a month? You don't have it now. You're spending every penny that you got. So you need to have some ability to show that you can handle this new future payment. And so payment shock is the term you might hear. And here's the solution that I use, because it's a double whammy for you. Immediately, if you have a proposed payment that you think you want to make, so let's use our example, going from $900 to $1,500. Starting on the minute you decide you want to do something with the house, immediately start doing 2 things. Send your landlord $900 a month on the first, and at the same time, send to a completely separate account of yours $600 a month to your savings account. Both on the same day. Boom. $1,500 goes out the door. Now you've done, if you can continue this for 6 months to however long it takes, you've done 2 things. You've now shown the ability to make a $1,500 a month house payment because you've sent 9 to the left and 6 to the right. You also are developing a savings pattern, which is money you can use for down payment. And you have now overcome entirely the objection that anybody could bring up that you cannot afford a $1,500 a month house payment. You have killed the payment shock discussion right off the bat. And so this is something we got away from, obviously, because we didn't used to ask if you could afford the house, right? That's why we have so many foreclosures. So if this is you, and even if you're not ready to buy something now, or you're going to buy your next house, and more than likely we're going to make you qualify for your existing house and the next house you want to buy. So start a pattern on the first of every month of sending these payments, one to your savings and one to your existing house payment or rent. And start that pattern immediately. It does 2 things for you. It starts developing a savings history, and it starts overcoming the payment shock issue. And those are the 2 things that came up this week ad nauseum. So hopefully those made a little bit of sense. Or if not, we'll give away some Mountain Lions tickets so you can get over it. I've got some quiz questions for you here. We're going to take a break. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Off the text line real quick from the 530. Jeff, is anyone offering the USDA Streamline refinance right now that you know of? I guess it's not coming to my mind. My obvious answer would be check with your existing lender to see if they'll do it. I believe the USDA program, like the VA program and like the FHA program, have a streamline refinance. And streamline really means no appraisal. VA in California has gone away from, or the lenders have gone away from a no appraisal in California at the moment. FHA still does that. I would check with your existing lender. The USDA loan is having some funding issues at the moment for new transactions, but I would check with your existing lender to see if they'll do a streamline on that. If not, Google it. Somebody probably does it. I don't know right off the top of my head of anybody that will do that. Good question from the 530. Here's my quiz question number 1. 339-1140, or you can text me at 441140. This is for we'll take the first 2 winners for a 4-pack of tickets to the Sacramento Mountain Lions, who fire up, I think, next Friday is their first opening night at a Rayleigh Field in West Sacramento. This state in the United States is actually having to go to the point of hiring a recruiting firm to bring in out-of-state workers. There is so much demand for work in this state. They have hired, can you imagine that? The state has to budget money to get recruiters to bring you to their state to work. And these aren't piddly jobs. These are good jobs. So which state, 339-1140 or 1-800-920-1140, or you can text me at 441140, which state has gone out to hire a recruiting firm to bring in workers for good jobs? How about just getting an airplane and flying it to California back and forth and bring some people there? You could probably even fly back and forth during the week. That's a little bit of a flight. This is Talkin' Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell. We're going to be right back.